Hello and welcome to Musing. My name is Craig Seibert, and today I will be joined by my brother George Seibert. We love to talk about music. We're passionate about it, and it's a big part of our lives. Every once in a while we have these conversations, and we thought we'd just like to share those with you. So if you love music, sit back and enjoy this podcast. Okay, we're back for number 4 of Musing. I'm joined by my brother George Seibert. How you doing?
Yep, good.
Today we're going to tackle the infinite question of what's your favorite part? Sometimes falls into solos, sometimes falls into intros, sometimes falls into, hey, this part's really cool and just catches my ear. But I'll kind of let you start it off, brother. I've got a list of stuff. We got a list of stuff. We talked about it before, but I'll let you kind of jump in and throw them, one off the top of your head.
I wanted to preface this whole thing by, this is purely opinion.
Oh, yeah.
And anybody that wants to comment or chime in or, message us or, hit the Facebook link that we put up and respond to us, or with your favorite part to tune us into what you dig. I mean, that's what these things are about. And I mean, this one is simply conjecture and opinionated, and there's no
personal
argument here. It's just, yeah, it's truly personal. And this one's, I think, is going to be one of the really fun ones. So, what I wanted to start with was one of the most noticeable, I guess, for me, in The New Style by the Beastie Boys. At the end of that song, it actually changes. It actually it's almost like a second song, like where he does it's the new style, and then that whole song, and then at the end and they're putting it on wax, and
yep,
when he says drop, and and the whole thing explodes.
Yeah, there's a really big part of music out there that does that takes an idea. We talked about, I think, the Modest Mouse song that kind of changes. Once you get started at the beginning, it kind of almost turns into a different song. And yeah, I think that feel is definitely. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that one actually in a long time, but yeah, that's kind of cool.
But my favorite part of that is later, 3 or 4 albums later in Intergalactic, they actually sampled themselves and did that part of this. I think that's one of my favorite things in the whole world. Of course, the Beastie Boys are untouchable, but to sample yourselves, I think that's so brazen, but it fits so perfectly into it. And I mean, Intergalactic got radio play. I mean, as far as that album went, but.
Yeah, and
to sample something that you did in 1985 that's pretty epic.
Yeah, and they were some of the last bands to actually do that, before the legal ramifications came about. But yeah, that's interesting. I hadn't thought about that they did sample themselves in that song.
And that's one of my favorite things ever, that they had the, whatever, if you want to call it, the moxie to let's do this and sample ourselves. I mean, that's when you're that's a big kind of a middle finger to the establishment. I think that makes me smile every time I hear it in that song. So,
yeah, I think for me, when we started this conversation early, the first one I always go to is there's a small solo in a song, in a kind of an unknown song called "Wasting My Time" by Default. The solo is just, it's so simple, it's so rich, it's so just not overdone, fits the song. Every time the song comes on, that's one of those spots in the song where I just turn it up. Like, the song's mediocre, it's okay, it's decent, it's kind of got some good words, but as soon as I get to that spot, it's like, eh. And that's kind of what we were talking about with this, having this conversation. It wasn't that we were picking, solos or intros or anything like that. It was more that we were picking those spots that kind of grab
make your hair stand up, or they give you goosebumps, or whatever it is.
And there's a little small drum fill in Seeing Red by that band. Yeah, by Chevelle. Yeah, Seeing Red by Chevelle. There's a little drum fill between the second and third verses that it's just a little like double, step drum fill that it's just that spot where I go, oh, it kind of just changes that song just a little bit. Just twists it just a little bit.
Right. And what you see, like, I feel it's the same. There's the solo in Wanted Dead or Alive by Bon Jovi. And I don't even really, that song is so overplayed and so overgeneralized.
Beyond.
But that, I like you said, I don't know what it is, just that simple, and it's really short, and there's nothing to it. But Richie Sambora just steps out of his mind for like 18 or 20 seconds, and it's there. And what you said about the, like that drum kick,
Drum fill
or whatever. There's a spot in Out of the Black by Royal Blood. It's like 2 minutes and 45 seconds in. There's just this little like guitar freak out. I don't even know what you would call it. It's just like a, I don't even know how you would categorize. It's not a solo, but it's just like you said, it just changes. It's like a noticeable, like, wow, what was that? As it goes by, in the blink of an eye. But I mean, those two things you just touched on, a solo and a mediocre song and a drum fill versus a guitar twang or something in the, that just stands out. And those are the things that I notice. Mine are, and I know yours are a lot more guitar driven because you play guitar. I think mine are a lot more lyrically or vocally noticed, maybe because I like to write, and I mean, I couldn't carry a tune in a bucket, but I think that's most of it is. I think that's the difference, and it doesn't really matter. It's a preference. It's an opinion thing, like we said earlier.
Right, but I think some of it also comes down to just recognizing nuances because we appreciate music, period. I mean, you mentioned mine are going to be a lot of guitar driven, but two of the ones that kind of made my list are actually vocal driven, and one of them is Freak on a Leash by Korn. At the end of the song where he basically uses his voice as an instrument, and he's not really saying any words, but he's actually just making sounds and making it sound like his voice is the, I don't know if it'd be just a different instrument. Yeah, I know voices are instruments anyways, but at the end of that song, he kind of just goes into that just vocal sounds of making music. And, that for me is one of those spots. Yeah, I kind of lead towards guitar, but, and also, oh man, the end of the, Nirvana acoustic, MTV acoustic,
yeah.
Or at the end of Where Did You Sleep Last Night? Oh,
yeah.
Oh, when he gets to the end and he says that last couple words, it's like, wow, this song is really good anyways, but then you get there and it's like, that's like I'm going up.
At 2 minutes into Roxanne by the Police, when he hits that, where it kind of goes to gravel, it's like that.
The different way he says it.
Yeah, those nuances where it goes up is really what it's about. I mean, for me, obviously, in More Than a Feeling, like towards the end, he literally hits 4 octaves, and it gets, higher and higher, and then it's like you said, there's like that drum pause, and then it goes to like that last octave, and that's the part that gets me anybody that does know me, More Than a Feeling, and we've been over this, that's maybe the best song ever written, but it's by far my favorite song ever. Just lyrically, musically, production, everything about that song. For me, it's a non-argument. But the reason why is because of that. When it gets to the end and it's like that pause step, and he hits that last octave, and it's like every single time that song, if I hear that song come on, it gives me goosebumps. It never fails. That's the only, a lot of songs give me goosebumps at parts. Like,
Let There Be Rock.
Let There Be Rock. And towards the end of 46 and 2 by Tool, where it goes into that double kick, like it just, I don't know what the end of that song does the same thing to me.
Yeah, and those are really strong parts. Those are parts that, you know,
crescendos. I mean, and it's a lost art, I think.
Yeah, well, when we've talked about that before, we've talked about a lot of things that, you know, music's done in the past and as compared to what music does nowadays. And, you know, crescendo is one of those things where you get to that high point, kind of like I said a second ago about Let There Be Rock, because, you know, he's working that song up to that spot. And it's
I do not know how the recording equipment did not burst into flames during that song. And I'm not even mocking. I'm serious. That's when he runs out of breath, it, you know, like his voice actually stops working at the end of his range. Like it just, I don't know how to deal with that. And that song it's getting faster and it's more intense and it's harder and it's faster and it's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. And it's, I think that's kind of the big separation for me is that, you know, you have songs like that where the obvious part is the part that we're talking about. It's when you get to the end of that song and he goes to that extra octave and you're like, oh, is he going further? He's going, whoa, wait a minute. He's going further. He's going further.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
You get to that point where it's a point, but for me, it's also nuances. It's kind of like what I said about that drum fill, but it's also, you brought up Boston, you know, Long Time is an amazing song.
Right.
And the comeback from, it's either the chorus or the verse each time, is an acoustic guitar just kind of doing a little riff.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And then the last time, it's not. It's electric.
Yeah.
It's the same exact riff, same exact spot, but it's an electric guitar, distorted and overdriven. And, you know, we've talked about that guy and making music with a guitar is just, you know.
Tom Schultz. Yeah, that's not fair.
Tom Schultz is,
be an MIT graduate and, like, he's built most of the cabinets and heads for, like, 80% of the bands that come out of the 70s and 80s. That's almost not fair, But
yeah, that's the separation for me is there are spots in songs that are just like, yeah, it's over the top. And then there are spots like that. And like the Toadies song, what's the Toadies song?
I Come From the Water or Possum Kingdom.
Yeah, Possum Kingdom, where there's that extra beat every other measure.
And that stuff drives me banana. And that's why I love Tool so much is when he steps into like 5/8 and he's still singing in 4/8, you're like, what just happened?
Well, and it's interesting too because you know, with playing music and stuff, and we even wrote a couple of our songs, you know, working with the drummer Josh at the time. Josh was big into Tool and them,
right?
So we even wrote a couple of our songs to kind of change meter,
right?
But I did some research on that Possum Kingdom song, and there's no meter change. All they've done is added an extra 2 beats to the end of certain measures. Like it's not laid out right.
Right.
If you do a little research on it, they actually said that we just wanted to play 2 extra notes at the end of A meter, B meter, you know.
Right.
They didn't change the meter. They actually just went in and played 2 extra notes.
See, that's,
that's
the type of stuff that I live for. And it doesn't even have to be a crescendo because I know we talked earlier in the week, and I told you like the slide in Welcome to the Jungle. It's like it's almost like winding that song like down, sort of. It's like it's that crunchy. I mean, Izzy with that crunchy, you know, driving, you know, kind of a galloping rhythm, and then Slash with the slide way down on the neck, you know, like slowing that song down and sorry, I mean, for all his Axelness, when he says, you know where you are? You're in the jungle, baby. Yeah. You're going to die. That song still, for all its accolades, for all its mocking, that part in that song still just sets that song above and beyond anything that was relevant there in that time.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And I mean, it's a simple part, and it's not really that stellar. I mean, but it's even to stay on Guns N' Roses for just a brief second, in Paradise City, I'm sorry, I don't even like that song. The cop whistle at the end when that song blows up,
Double time goes into double time. Yeah.
I mean, you got to respect it. It's just a stupid whistle.
And to stick on Guns N' Roses, I actually had that on one of my lists. In Rocket Queen, where you get to the end of that song and it's like, the song's over.
Oh yeah.
No, we're gonna play kind of the same song, but it's gonna be a different sound to that song. That's another big turning moment for me. Is I want to fast forward to that point, but it's not the same unless you listen to the whole song.
Right, and I love the effect pedal in that song. That I don't know if you call it the echo, where it kind of goes. I don't know what you. I'm not. You know what I'm talking about, but
I do.
I just love how that how that pulls that whole song together. At that right before that. But what else did I have on my list? Oh, the things that drive the. I know I've always leaned toward a little bit heavier side of the music, but like the galloping guitar with a double kick bass. There are certain songs that when early stuff like it's a Metallica song, and I wrote Metallica. I didn't write the song.
Figures. I did a couple of that on mine too.
But it's like the guitar matches the double kick drum, and that's what always like sucked me in to favorite parts of songs. Pantera is good for it. The song "Break You" by Lamb of God it's the I don't know how. I mean, I know that's next level stuff. I mean that kind of metal, but when they've got like I guess it's a quad kick. It's a double head on two bass drums, but to stay rhythmic in that, I mean, it draws me in, and that's my favorite part. I guess that's what makes that my favorite kind of music. I for kind of a twist on the plot line
favorite
here.
Part, yeah.
That's those things, those subtle nuances are what draw me into bands. If I listen to a band and it sounds like everybody, it's good, it's really good, but it sounds like everybody else, and there's nothing that stands out to me, I will walk away. I mean, with malice and intent, and not even feel bad about it. And I shouldn't, because like I said, I told you we've been over this. I go back and revisit bands like, well, maybe I'm missing something. I'll hear a different song where there is something like that, and then I listen to the rest of it. It's like, well, it's just one song, so it kind of loses interest. But
yeah, and I think we've already shelved another conversation for later about having a shtick or a thing that kind of gets the band by, like a la Kiss with makeup, but
right.
But that's same here. I mean, certain things draw me. I'm a Jimmy Eat World fan anyways, but the end of Praise Chorus, where he basically takes 10 iconic songs and takes like the iconic lines from those songs and turns them into an actual chorus that is praising those songs. That's such a slick thing to do, and I know it's coming. I know it's coming at the end of the song every time, and I know all those words to those songs, and I know all the songs that he's using, and I love that. I love that feel. I love where he just says, I'm going to take what is important to me and what I found important in my life, and I'm just going to take a little snippet of it and stick it in my song. And that's kind of, where we're talking about going on that kind of stuff. So
right. The only, let me look here. The only other thing I had on my list this one is purely for me, is in the middle of Indians by Anthrax, when he does the war dance, when he yells war dance. Dude, I want to break stuff. Sorry. When I mean, that song to me, it reminds me of my, mid-teen youth, and Anthrax was a big part of forming my musical sound or feel, I guess. But that song always stuck out to me. And they've done a lot of good things and a lot of not so good things, but when that song, and like you said, it's coming, and if you fast forward to it, it doesn't work. But you have to listen to the whole song, and it builds and it builds and it builds. unlike my by far my favorite Anthrax song is "Caught in a Mosh," just because that guitar in the beginning, like me, and it's like so melodramatic and like unassuming, and then it changes, the pitch changes, and that driving bass line comes in, and lyrically it's amazing. But that's a side note to Indians. When he says war dance and starts, they're stomping, and the circle pit's going, and it's that, to me, those epic little, and it's not a nuance by any stretch of the imagination, but there are some subtleties in a lot of the music that we've mentioned, a lot of music that we like and we listen to. But the only other thing I had was the chorus in "Speed of Pain" by Marilyn Manson.
Oh God, I'm about to listen to that. I don't recall that.
It's synthesized. It sounds like what was the cassette recorder transformer?
Oh, Soundwave.
Soundwave. It sounds like Soundwave.
That's crazy.
But it lyrically poignant, but just the way they synthesize the core, the words, those words in that song. I want to outrace the speed of pain for another day, and it changes the whole. I think it changes the whole dynamic and the whole meaning of the song by not having Manson actually. I don't know if it's him, on the synthesizer or somebody else or whatever, but it's that synth voice that actually makes it work, I think. And it changes the whole feel of the song. I mean, it's a really melancholy, really downer of a song,
Yeah.
And then once it gets to the chorus, it's like it almost lightens it up, but it makes it more intense. And I know that doesn't make sense, but it's
but again, you're coming back to the same thing we started this with. It's a personal feel that we have for this music, and
absolutely,
it's going to be different for everybody. Everybody's going to have that little spot. They might agree with some of the stuff we're talking about, but I'm sure they've got their thing. Like, for me, I hate the song Layla. I hate it with a passion. Okay, but when you get to the end, where it turns into that, that it was either using Goodfellas or The Godfather or something, in one of those movies. But that part of it is just, wow, this is an amazing song. But turning points like that are going to be personal to me. I can still listen to Eruption and turn it off at the end of it. I don't need the other song that's attached to it. It's a moment for me. It's something that I grew up listening to. The gear shifting and Kickstart My Heart at the beginning of it. For me, that was like, oh my God, you can do something with the whammy bar like that? Are you serious? It's always been a tremolo bar that's used for stupid stuff, and then he does that, and I'm like, that changes my whole feel of. So that one kind of hit me once, and every time I hear it, I get that feeling of, wow, I can do this with a guitar. I can do that. What else did I have on my list? Oh, we talked about this one before, and I'll tell you that Hotel California is an iconic song, and it's one of those ones where I kind of got to be in the mood to listen to it, but
I'm so over listening to it, but go ahead.
But when you get to the end of the song, and Joe Walsh and Felder are playing a solo where they're trading, they're going back and forth. Yeah. I'm playing this part of the solo, you're playing this part of the solo, I'm playing this part of the solo, and they go back and forth. And knowing Joe Walsh's music, his solo music, and knowing Felder playing with the Eagles and stuff, I can tell who's playing where. And I love that feel. I love the feel of going, that's Walsh playing that part of the solo. That's Felder playing that part of the solo. That's Walsh playing, going back and forth. And I kind of live for that part of that song where I can hear the differences, the nuances, and the changes and stuff. So,
absolutely. And stuff. And again, I preface this whole thing. I mean, if anybody comments or hears this that wants to lean in, please turn us on to your favorites, because that's truly what I mean, I live for that stuff. I live for those.
And let us know that spot. That's that one spot. If you're looking for something, if you're going to post a song, let us know at 2:21 in the song, this is what I'm listening for. So we know what to look for.
Well, I actually wrote down in "Break You" by Lamb of God at the 2:30 mark is what I'm talking about.
There you go.
The guitar riff and the drum kick is what like literally sends chills down my spine.
Yeah. And you know, I had a couple scragglers on my list of stuff that, you know, I still, even the whole song, and it's one of those things that's iconic, but Jimi Hendrix does the Star Spangled Banner at Woodstock. And there's a spot in there where he almost loses his spot and starts playing something different. And then it just like cuts out. And you can still hear the hiss of his guitar amp, you know, just hissing.
Right.
And then he jumps back in with the last verse, and it's like, whoa, you know, he's so far gone, and then he's just totally brought himself back to the feel of what the Star Spangled Banner is. Let's see.
Go ahead. There's I mean, you and I know. There's a spot in I don't even know what version or where he was on stage or whatever. Stevie Ray Vaughan playing Texas Flood when he breaks a guitar string, and it's as much visual as it is audio. That to see the man, I mean, everybody, if anybody that listens to music knows Stevie Ray Vaughan's, you know, prowess as far as guitar work, but when he, I mean, it was a high E string or something, and it broke, and I mean, he actually, I mean, kept singing and was like playing the other strings while they were like his roadie was like trying to hand him another guitar, and like he basically like was playing the guitar in the roadie's hand, you know, as he was, you know, he plugged it in, you know, pulled the plug out of his other one and plugged it in for him, and he like barely put the strap, you know, over around his neck sort of, and to save time he actually played it behind his back.
It's insane.
And it really is, and that type of nuance, it's like, that's why I've always said it doesn't really matter. I mean, there are people that play music, there are people that record music, there are people that feel music. Stevie Ray Vaughan's one, Bon Scott was one. There's people that, for all their faults and whatever, it's different. It is different. There's a different feel, there's a different vibe, and even if the music isn't your taste, or if the music isn't your vibe, or if it isn't what you like, and we touched on this a bit, you know, if it's country, if it's rap, or if it's hip hop, if it's metal, if it's you know, death metal, or whatever it is, if it matters to you, if that person speaks to you, whether it's a certain point in your time in your life, or if it invokes a feeling, like you said, you know, you can tell and it makes you, or Mick Mars, you know, shifting gears with a tremolo bar, it makes you feel a certain way. Because when More Than a Feeling comes on, he says, I woke up this morning and the sun was gone. I turned on some music to start my day. I can't handle it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, because I know how it affects me. And that song, I mean, everybody that listens to that song here, anybody that listens to any song hears that song 100% different than you or I do. And I think that's the best thing about music.
Yeah.
Whether it's subtle nuances or whether it's, I'm tired of hearing Hotel California and you can't wait for the next time it comes on the radio. That's the difference, and that's what joins us all. That's what joins us in this cool kids club.
Yeah.
I think.
I think I think you pretty much said everything that I wanted to say. I don't find all these songs to be the catch every single time. No. I think distance between the times I hear the song obviously makes it better, but there are some songs where every single time it comes on, I will get that feeling. I will say, there's a part in this song that's going to come up that I am just going to love. It's going to make my day. It's, you know, if I
absolutely
I wake up 8 o'clock in the morning and this song comes on and I get to that part, my day is just on, level 10 at this point. So,
absolutely.
But as has become tradition, I'm going to give a parting shot, and I'm gonna see if I can get the audio to work on this one. See if I can make it an audio parting shot. You ready for this one? Here we go.
Yeah, go ahead. That's one of those things that, I've never been an Ozzy Osbourne fan. But go
ahead.
That's iconic. I don't know if that's like, I mean, it is. It's most certainly in this in what we're talking about. That's more iconic. It's the same thing as if the Beastie Boys, when No Sleep Till Brooklyn comes on,
Yeah. Well,
or You Gotta Fight for Your Right. It's
okay.
Iconic.
And I'll go with you on that. And when you say you haven't been an Ozzy fan, I am a huge Black Sabbath fan. I love Black Sabbath. They've been a staple in my listening history for a very long time. Even, Contrast even covered, put two of the songs together and covered it. I honestly will turn the station immediately when that comes on. It's one of those moments in songs that if that didn't open the song, I probably would listen to the song, because Randy Rhoads is amazing. I mean, there's no doubt about it. He was certainly far and above everything at the time. But
yes,
that opening is just, it's like fingers on chalkboards for me.
But again, it's iconic.
It is.
Whether you like it or not. I mean, that's what I said. This is all opinion driven, because I'm the same way. I've heard, and people are starting to, like, I don't know if you want to, I hate to say getting on I am so tired of hearing Dream On by Aerosmith.
Yeah, well, same
I'm
here.
so tired of hearing Hotel California by the Eagles. I'm so tired of hearing these quote unquote iconic songs. I mean, if Stairway to Heaven, and this is my parting shot, and this is rhetorical. I cannot listen to Bohemian Rhapsody anymore. It is so overdone to me. This is personal.
Yeah, it does. Hold on a second. I got something going on somewhere. Okay. Anyways, yeah, I don't. It's same with me. I don't. I love those songs. I love the feel of those songs when they come on once every 4 months.
Maybe. Yeah, but and that may be another subject too, because
we've talked about that coming up too. So
at times about what keeps songs relevant, and I mean it's got to be radio play, because there's not a lot of options otherwise. But we talked about the alternative is there's nothing out there to replace it either. So it's kind of a
right. So, well, thanks for hanging out again and kind of going through a conversation that, it's music. We're passionate about it. We're trying to find the areas that we can talk about. And you and I have had discussions outside the podcast too, about stuff coming up and things that we want to do and say. But I wanted to say, you started off with this as well. We have an email address that's musicmusingfeedback@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you guys. Just, tell us what you think. Tell us what you got, some ideas for some shows. Send us an email. You got some songs that you want us to listen to that have spots that you want us to hear. Send them. We love music.
Absolutely.
We love listening to new stuff. We love finding new stuff. Send it away. Reach out to us that way. Like George said, comment on the Facebook post when we put it up on Facebook. Comment right there. We're both watching it. We're both keeping an eye on it. But we've got a couple good shows, coming up in the future. We've already got a couple of them laid out. But thanks for showing up and talking, brother.
Absolutely. Never a dull moment.